Hey guys, how's it going? Ghost Rich here today, and so today we're going to be switching a alternator on a 1988 Toyota 4runner. So if you look over here, first thing you want to do, take the negative off your battery. It's just a 10mm bolt. Some cases it might be 12 depending on if you've changed your battery terminal, but if it looks just like that, then you just have to unbolt it and then you'll have to assist it when lifting it up. Sometimes you have to wiggle it around, or you might have to use a bit of a pry bar, up to you. So, after you do that, next thing you're going to do is locate your alternator, which is, if you're looking at your engine, look where my work light is. If you look down right there, that is your alternator. So, the next thing you're going to want to do is, if we look right down there on the back end of the alternator, you're going to see this clip. I'm going to show you where it squeezes, but you'll unsqueeze this clip from it and it'll be plugged in like so, down here on the back of the alt. You can sort of just barely see it, and but it'll be plugged in right over here. What you do is, after you unplug that, there is going to be this red wire and it'll be covering this. You pull off the rubber and you see how there's that. It's going to have a 10mm bolt on top of this. You're going to unscrew it off that post and then that comes right off. That takes all the wiring off your alternator. But like I said, first pull that battery post, because if not, that red wire is live, and if it shorts out against the ground, you could blow your battery, which is not good, or just blow a fuse, which hopefully it is fused, but yes. And then the next thing we're going to have to do is, if you look up here on the top of the alternator, which is right there, you're going to see, let's move this wire out of the way, another bolt right here. You're going to loosen that bolt, and that's going to loosen the tension on our pulley. So the next thing you're going to want to do is do that. And then on the very bottom, if you go underneath our engine, want to hand me that work light? You can see the last bolt down there, but on the bottom of our alt right there, you'll see one more big bolt. And you're going to have to take that one off after the tension's off of it, and then our alternator should come out down below here. So I'm going to take it out, and then I'll let you know if there's any problems getting the alternator out. I'll let you take a look at it from after we get it out. Okay, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so as you can see, this is that top bolt which I told you to loosen. Once you loosen it, you take it all the way out and you push it a little bit, and the belt will slip right off, or you can grab it and move it off the pulley. It's kind of easy. Like I said, this is going to be in like so. So it'll be in the vehicle like that. You just loosen it, you're pushing it that way. Then you're taking the belt off. And at the bottom, you'll see a bolt that goes through here, which is this bolt right here. It goes through here, and you'll see the two little arm, or an arm that's on this side and an arm that's on that side. This bolt goes through, and it'll be that like that. You're going to put a 14mm on this side and a 14mm on this side and loosen it. Now I can show you exactly what I'm talking about from down here. Alright. See that? Right there? It's going to be, I'll get my hand back in there, because it is a bit of a fun job. Right there. So what you're going to do is, this side is the side which you'll just put a 14mm on, and you can actually have it, if your wrench is long enough, so it sits up on this bar, and then you don't have to touch it, and then you loosen this side with a ratchet, and after you get that bolt loosened, you'll have to push the bolt out. I used a breaker bar, and I pushed against the bolt and got to here, then I grabbed a shorter wrench, put the mouth of the wrench on there, and then ripped the bolt out. And then I just actually pulled the alternator out through the top, because I found through the bottom was too troublesome. And all you do is you just work it around between this big opening right in here. And you might have to put some pressure on the hose to get it out. But after you do that, your alternator will be in your hand. Time to put it back in. I'll put it back in, and I'll let you know if there's any little pieces of trouble as I'm doing that. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so this part took me a while. Why? Because I think our alternator bracket was a little bit bigger on this one, but I've read that other people have found that it can be a very, very tight spot, because there's a metal bushing that's on the inside.
So what I ended up doing is I tried to squeeze it in there. It just wouldn't go. So I ended up pulling out a file and I filed it a little bit just because I didn't want to try and rip on this clip a little bit. And I knew that even if I file it, once I get it in here and I tighten this down, it's still going to be really tight, which it is. The alternator's in there nice and tight. So what I ended up doing is on both sides of the clamp here, I took a file and I filed it out a little bit. And then after that, I with a wooden stake and a mallet, I slowly bonked her in there and I got it in. It's definitely a hell of a chore, but once you get it in there, you'll be super happy. Once you get this down, the other thing I did is on the first 2 threads of this bolt, first thing I did is I gauged it with different size of Allen keys to line the hole up, and then what I did is I took the bolt and I took the last 2 threads and I filed them all the way around, and I filed them so they were aiming in to the bolt, so that way you have yourself a little bit of a wedge. And it's really easy. I mean, if you take a look at the tip of the bolt, it's not like I had to strip this bolt through. If you file it right, then it actually just, the bolt goes right back on perfectly. So that's how I did the bottom of the C clamp. Next thing you're going to want to do is go up top and tighten up the tensioner bolt. And we're going to want to put 20 pounds of tension on this. What I usually do is I just get somebody to push on the alternator a bit, and then you just tighten up that tensioner bolt and just listen for any squeaking. Because if you hear the squeaking, that's of course a looser belt. And then the other thing you can do is, as you're tightening it and after it's all done and you start up the vehicle, just test your alternator and look for voltage spikes or voltage loss, and that will tell you if you have any belt slipping happening. That's the best thing I can tell you. So from this point, set your tension by pushing your alternator on the top, tighten up that tensioner bolt, and then from there you're just going to make sure you hook your positive back up, and you're going to hook your you're going to clip that plug back in, and then you're going to hook the negative back up to the battery. I'll show you all this at the very end once I get back up top, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so to get the tension right, what I did is, if you look at the block there, I put a pry bar between the block and the alternator, and I put a little bit of tension on the alternator, not too much, but enough. And how you know if your belt's tight enough, if you go over to your alternator belt there, just try and pull on it. I mean, you want some slack, you don't want a lot though. So I'm pulling on it, which you're not really going to see. I'm just going to tell you, you should be able to pull on it a tiny bit, but not a lot. And again, just listen for the squeak. That's the best way to do it. And the other way I'm going to show you is, before we get into that, make sure you bolt your positive back on, which I've done, as you can see. And then I clipped the regulator portion back into the back of the alternator, which is just that plug. And then you put your negative back on. Once you do that, take a voltmeter, and you're going to put the positive and negative on, and you're just going to do a voltage check. See what your battery's resting at now, and then you're going to start up the vehicle. Once you do that, make sure that it jumps up to the 13 or 14 volts that it should. And then, you know, after the vehicle warms up, rev it a little bit, make sure it's not jumping voltage, and that's how you're going to check it. And that's all there is to this. As you can see, it is a little bit, it did take me quite a while because of the filing and stuff like that, but just be wary, this isn't just a quick 15-minute project. Now, another thing people have done is, if you go back underneath here, they have, whoa, there we go, they've dropped the alternator. Let's get back under here. Not the alternator. They've dropped, see that radiator pipe right there? They've actually drained the radiator, and they've dropped that radiator tube before, so they could get the alternator through the bottom, so they could maneuver the alternator a little bit better. That's up to you if you want to do that. I didn't bother. All I did is I fed the alternator in through the top, and I pulled it out through the top, and then after I bolted that in, I mean, it does make it a bit easier. I just didn't see the need to do so because I can maneuver around it. Anyways, so that's another option for you. So again, just go start up your vehicle, make sure everything's running properly, follow the procedure I gave you. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. And of course, press that like button if it helped you out. and press subscribe for other videos that I might put up. Thanks again. Peace.